Hello, how's it going? My name is Becca, if you do not know me, and I'm currently 23 weeks and 5 days pregnant with my first baby. It's a girl. In my last video, I mentioned in that video that I wanted to talk about the symptoms that I had and the fears that I had, but I didn't want to freak anybody out. I didn't know if it was appropriate. I decided that it might be nice for people to have some validation of their own irrational fears by hearing the ones that I had and have. However, if you are early in your pregnancy and don't want to hear the things that scare me or the bad, uncomfortable symptoms that I had, don't watch it, okay? That's totally fine. Whatever you need for your mental space to be as calm and fear-free as possible. Because I also know that I read a lot of scary stuff online at the beginning of my pregnancy and saw a lot of scary stuff, and it did not help whatsoever at all. So yeah, if that's you, just click off. Okay, so I will start by saying that I'm very fortunate to not have had any complications up until this point, knock on wood. Baby is, as far as I can tell, happy and healthy as far as the doctors can tell, so I think that that's a pretty good sign. We have obviously made it through the first trimester. Yeah, I know that I'm very fortunate, but pregnancy has been a lot more difficult than I thought that it was going to be. It kind of shocked me, to be honest. I don't know how we do it or how people that are single parents that are pregnant do it, or that work really long hours or have to work more than one job, or work in general, to be honest. I don't know how you do it because it's rough. It's really, really rough. Okay, I'm gonna talk about my symptoms first. So this is basically what was going on in the first trimester. Once I got to about week 16, I think that I started feeling better, which was kind of a bummer because I thought that after week 12, everything was gonna be rainbows and sunshine, and it took a little bit longer for my body to fully adjust to all the hormones and for my placenta to obviously develop and take over. The symptoms that I'm still having or have started in the second trimester, I'll differentiate between those, but just starting with the symptoms that I had in the first trimester. Extreme fatigue, you hear this all the time. Yeah, I could basically sleep anytime, any place, and I wanted to. The best way for me to describe what the first trimester felt like was a severe hangover every single day, but I didn't even have fun the night before. Actually have seen other people describe it that way online, and I think that it is such a good representation. I wasn't necessarily throwing up every 5 minutes. I actually only got sick twice, which was a blessing, but I was constantly nauseous. I had this swimmy, foggy head feeling that you get whenever you're hungover, headaches. I just wasn't myself. I didn't really have any personality. I love having the windows open. In my first trimester, I wanted everything closed. I didn't want any light. Loud noises bothered me. Smells bothered me. Yeah, if you've ever had a really bad hangover, or 2 or 3, you know what that feels like, and I felt like that pretty much the week after I found out that I was pregnant up until week 16. But I'm me now. I'm here. I'm back again. But I was not me for a really long time. Let's see. I already talked about fatigue, food and eating aversions, just in general. Food did not sound good. I was super, super nauseous. I was also really emotional. I actually haven't really experienced that too bad in the second trimester, except for last week. Last week, for 3 days straight, I was crying. I guess it's just par for the course, but at the beginning of my pregnancy, I was really emotional about everything. Both good, happy tears, and bad. I would think that I was irritable and that would make me cry a lot. Getting to see my husband, whenever he got home from work, I would cry. I already talked about the headaches that went along with that sicky hungover feeling. And you know that the kind of headaches where it's just everything's swimmy and foggy. Breast pain. Oh my God, at the beginning of my pregnancy, they hurt so bad. What I specifically remember being shocked by is in the shower, trying to get my hair conditioner or shampoo or whatever, having to shake the bottle a little bit, that jostling movement of my boob hurt so bad. Now they don't hurt that much, but nipple sensitivity, oh my God, I'll just accidentally brush against it or something. Feels like fire, but just for a second. So constipation, yeah, that's my daily life anyway, but lots of Miralax, lots of prunes. I actually found that eating prunes, I would have 3 to 5 every single night, helped So would recommend. I know there's prune juice. I have not ever had prune juice, and I do not like the taste of prunes. It's the texture, actually, but it was worth it because my stomach hurt so bad, and I'm scared of hemorrhoids, so I wanted to avoid that, although I know there's still a chance that I'll catch a hemi at some point, but it hasn't happened yet. One that I have written down that I still experience is hiccuping. It's like in between a hiccup and a burp because it's more like violent than a hiccup, but it's caught in my diaphragm. Like I don't actually burp. Yeah, just kind of weird. I don't really know what that is from, but I think that it's pretty common. Same with acid reflux. I did not have acid reflux at the beginning of my pregnancy, really, but right now, man, it's hitting pretty hard at night. So yeah, I guess that's kind of related. Nasal congestion. I already have some sinus issues. I feel like I'm kind of like a snotty person. Maybe because I have a deviated septum, I don't know. I take an allergy pill every single day. If I don't, oh my gosh, I feel like I have the flu. Even with an allergy pill, I feel like how I would feel before pregnancy if I hadn't taken an allergy pill, if that makes sense. Yeah, so a lot of sinus headaches too, which have been rough. My sinuses in my cheeks and up here in my forehead, and then just being snotty and stuffy and having to blow my nose a million times a day, which I remember as a kid I used to think it was so gross whenever adults blew their nose. And now, mama's gotta do what mama's gonna do, you know? Night sweats. That was bad in the first trimester. I haven't really had them anymore, thankfully. I haven't been sleeping as well in the second trimester, especially in the first trimester, and still sometimes now had really bad, vivid, disturbing nightmares. For some reason, once I'm awake, they don't really bother me. I can kind of just be like, well, it was just a dream. It's not a big deal, and just brush it off. There have just been one or two affected me throughout the day because they were that kind of messed up. But I think that deep REM sleep with those super vivid dreams added to the night sweats. And with that, I have like body acne or a rash or something, which is not like me typically. I mean, I might get a spot here or there on my chest or my back. I have more of what looks like a rash, but it doesn't itch. It doesn't really bother me. It just looks bad. My OB hypothesized that it was contact dermatitis, but I haven't changed anything. I'm not laying on anything new. At first, I had thought maybe it was the fabric soap. Maybe I just sprouted a reaction, but that also seems like it'd be on all of my body or more places than just my chest and back if it were contact dermatitis to anything. So I don't know. I personally think that it's just pregnancy because I've also had really bad hormonal breakouts and cystic acne. Specifically, this area is really bad. And I think that that's from pregnancy too. Restless legs. I already had restless legs. I could control it pretty well with exercise prior to being pregnant, but after being pregnant, I don't exercise as much as I should. I know, but even the days that I have gone to the gym and walked, the restless legs are just really bad. Do my little cricketing thing, move my legs around some, and it does eventually lull me to sleep. So, I'm so out of breath. Also, in my first trimester, I would have cramping like every single day, and it really freaked me out. I've never had any bleeding, thank goodness. Basically, once I was pregnant, I have not seen any blood, which is reassuring, but I would have really bad cramping and my stomach would get really tight, but it was early in my pregnancy. So I did bring it up with my OB, and thankfully he explained it as the ligaments around my uterus. Sometimes they spasm as everything stretches, and that's exactly what it felt like. That's actually kind of cut off in the second trimester, which I know that now is around the time that Braxton Hicks contractions can start, but I don't think I'm having any of those, and that's not what it was in the first trimester. There's 3 more symptoms I have listed here, and I am still having all of them. Back and hip pain, that started in week 18, actually, so in the second trimester, and it has not let up since, girl. It's rough, and it is like disheartening to me. It's really frustrating to me because there's not anything I can do about it other than just stop what I'm doing and lay on a heating pad. It just makes everything more difficult. So I started going to the chiropractor. I have seen her twice, and I think that it does actually help. Ice pick headaches. I just get really bad ice pick, like the sharp stabbing pain right here that lasts 15 seconds max. Usually it's like 5-ish seconds before it goes away. My OB said that fluid changes and hormonal fluctuations can cause those. I was happy to hear that I'm not dying, but there's not really anything else that I can do about it other than to make sure that I stay hydrated. And the last symptom that I have on here is feeling faint, and this was really scary in the first trimester. The worst time that it happened was I was in the shower, bent down, put my head down, but I couldn't get the feeling to go away. You know, my head's swimming, my vision's starting to go black, and I just feel like I can't get enough air. I know that that's related to blood pressure. My blood pressure is running lower than typical for me, but I think that that's common in the early stages of pregnancy. I guess I just get some dips sometimes. I mean, I know that I have a shit ton more blood in my body than I did prior to pregnancy, so I'm sure that that plays a part. So I just sit down whenever I need to sit down, and I don't take really hot showers because I think that that adds to the lightheadedness, and I'm worried that I'm gonna cook my baby, and I don't want to do that anyway. Okay, so those are all the symptoms that I have had and still have thus far. There's not any that are good, to be honest. Oh, my hair seems a little bit thicker, maybe. The pregnancy glow, I think, is a myth. Maybe I'll get my glow eventually, but at the moment, dull and spotty. Moving on to the fears that I had, some rational, some irrational. And it's crazy because whenever I was trying to make this list, I suddenly was like, I can't think of any, but there were so many. Obviously, the first one is miscarriage, or really I was less afraid of miscarriage and more afraid of her dying in my belly and me just never knowing. That was one of the nightmares that really stuck with me. I had a dream that she had died in there and nobody would help me get her out. Pretty traumatic of a dream to have, but that directly comes from me having this big fear. However, I will say, the day after I had that dream, as I was trying to fall asleep the next night, was whenever I first felt her move. Being able to feel her move has calmed me in so many ways. It's just so reassuring. Since I felt her move, I felt her every single day. I feel her multiple times a day. She's kind of crazy. She's kind of wild, but I'm thankful for it for now until it starts hurting. I was scared that I was gonna accidentally push her out whenever I pooped, or whenever I would have those cramps that I was talking about earlier. I would be afraid that my uterus was trying to push her out. I was scared that she wasn't actually human, that he had this alien thing growing inside me that didn't have arms or legs or teeth or eyes, or did, but still just wasn't human. But then we saw her on the anatomy scan and she's a perfect little girl. So that was silly, of course. Don't know where that one came from. That was an irrational one. I had gotten deep into a rabbit hole about compressing the vena cava artery. So I was constantly scared that I was going to accidentally be compressing it and then she wasn't going to get any blood or oxygen and die. Even though I know that I would have symptoms before that happened and in enough time to change position to restore blood flow. But yeah, just constantly scared of sleeping because I'm a back sleeper. I did get NIPT done, the genetic testing. If you saw my last video, you would see that we had gotten those results. That's how we found out her gender so early. The NIPT results all came back great, but then I was like, but there's a million other things that they don't test for that she could have. How do I know? So we did the NIPT because it would have put our mind at ease, right? It might have a little bit, but it still wasn't enough. I don't really feel that way anymore. That just kind of fell off. I don't have as many worries since the anatomy scan and being able to feel her move. Those two things really calmed me. Oh, speaking of her moving, I had a fear that she was moving too much, that she was either unhappy in there or something neurological was wrong with her. Yeah, I don't think that's a thing. Babies don't move too much. Oh, okay, let me also say that I would take these fears and be like, I have this fear or I'm feeling this way because it's a sign that something really is wrong, which is just diabolical. Obviously not how baby development works. My baby isn't like, go ahead and put this crazy fear that probably isn't gonna happen in her mind because she needs to know beforehand that it is gonna happen. Oh my gosh, whenever I had that dream that she had died in my belly, all that next day I was like, it's a sign. The universe is trying to tell me something. Yeah, it wasn't. And the last thing that I have on here actually is stress from making the registry. I was so freaking stressed out about it until it was done, and I worked on it for days and days. And I'm talking like 5 or 6 hours a day, researching everything and trying to find good prices because I don't want to give people a registry that looks like we expect them to spend $1,000 on, I don't know, a stroller. But I also wanted everything to be safe, and I wanted to be able to use the registry after the baby shower, so that way the things that weren't purchased, I already knew that I liked and wanted, so we could just go through and purchase the rest of the things that we need, if that makes sense. After the registry was done, I found a way to just put it out of my mind, let it go. Our baby shower is 2 weeks from today. I have the glucose screening for gestational diabetes at my next appointment, which is in about a week and a half. We went to our first birthing class yesterday. Overall, things are good. If you made it this far and can relate to any of these, please let me know. And if you did have any of these fears that were a little out there, hopefully you know that you're not alone. And because I'm the psycho. We can be psychos together. I'm happy to say that I have kind of made it to the other side. Yeah, I still have a whole lot of crazy thoughts that pop into my head that I'm afraid of. But if you aren't pregnant or are early in pregnancy and chose to watch this, hopefully it's a little bit reassuring that I've made it this far and you'll make it there too, because time passes anyway, right? So I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm gonna let you go and I will talk to you in the next video. And yeah, okay, bye.